Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Johngy Orals podcast, without which life would be incomplete and have little or no meaning. Joining me, as always, from Skokie, Illinois, is the man on the beat from JohnG'sBeat.com, Mr. Jonathan Dagmar Robleski.
Dagmar?
And I, of course, am who else but Tommy else. How you doing there, John?
Dagmar, interesting. Okay, I'm doing good. I'm excited today. Are you gonna give it to me?
This is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, yes. It is gonna be a good one,
This
man.
this is gonna be a good one. No, Dagmar was the name of I guess technically my first pet. I believe it was a gerb. I'm pretty sure it was a gerbil. It was either a gerbil or a hamster, but Dagmar was the name of my first pet, and I think Dagmar is a name that doesn't get enough. Like nobody names their kid Dagmar anymore. Nobody names their kid Grover. Nobody names their kid. I mean, like there's certain
Phyllis.
like Elmo. Like Elmo's a great name, but the fucking puppet ruined the whole thing.
But
So
Dagmar's not a good. I mean, Elmo, yes, Elmo's a cool name.
Dagmar's got a
Dagmar.
lot of personality to it. I love Dagmar. That's a
Why
name.
don't you
That's
change your name to Dagmar?
I would. I'd be
Why don't you
I
do it? Big
I
talk.
was thinking, honestly, I was thinking earlier today, I was like, Grover Else wouldn't be a bad name for, like, if I had a son or something like that. Like, I like Grover.
Why don't you
Grover's
change your name, Mister Big Talk?
to Dagmar Else.
Yeah.
Honestly, on the list of names that if I had a gun to my head and I had to change my name, Dagmar would not be bad. I would take it. So I don't know. So that's not your middle name then. It's not
No,
Dagmar.
it's not.
All right. Well then
Now we've gone 57 episodes, and you have not hit it
all
yet.
right. Well then I'll keep working on it. But it's a good
But
name.
well,
It
you're
would
not
have
going to
been.
hit it going that obscure.
It would have. Well, if I. You never know. You never know.
No, I'm telling you, you're not. It's not that obscure.
Maybe
I mean,
that's
it's
why I'm
not like
not
a
hitting it, is
common
because I'm
name.
not going deep enough. Maybe I need to just. I got to get into that. I got to dig deep and.
Yeah, you got to dig deep. All right.
Uh, you know. So, well, hey, we have a guest today.
We have a guest.
We have a guest today, and let me do the intro on this one here, John. Just sit back and relax and let me take the reins on this, because I know, you need a break. This guy is exhausted from life.
I'm
I
exhausted from
first
you.
I first became aware of our guest today back in 2011 when I attended the very first Resistance Pro Wrestling show, Black Friday, which was, I believe, 11/25/2011, at the Excalibur, and she was part of I believe, a six women match. Um, I then got to see her in a couple other shows for Resistance Pro, and then once I got into it myself and was backstage, got to see her both in the ring and outside of the ring. It's been since 2012 since I've had anything personally, face to face to do with her or anything like that. You have betrayed me along the way and interviewed her before, but we'll get into that later. And she she's wrestled for all of the biggest promotions in independent wrestling that you can work for, as far as I'm concerned. She's a very well known name. Um, and she's somebody who is now coming out of retirement after the last 5 years and is about to wrestle her first match, and looks like she's going to be working some matches, some selective matches going forward. Her name is Sassy Stephie, and we are beyond excited to have her here on the show today. So, without further ado, coming out of a 5-year retirement to wrestle April 1st and 2nd in Quebec, Canada. Sassy Stephie. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a supreme honor to say hello once again after too many years. It's been, I believe, 11 years at this point, probably, since I've actually seen you. It was 2012. But welcome to the show, Sassy Stephie.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
So a little background. I was in on Resistance Pro early on in its genesis, but Stephie, I believe you might have worked the first show. Yeah, which was Black Friday.
Excalibur.
At Excalibur, yeah, in Chicago. And it's funny because I remembered this and I looked back to see how far back it was, but I had just gotten onto Instagram back in like 2012. And so like I think my 4th or 5th picture on my Instagram account is a selfie of you and me.
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're one of my very first photos on Instagram. So but
that's got to be quite an honor for you. I mean,
yeah, you know, you're like, and all the other pictures were like regular photos. So I think you might be the first selfie on my Instagram account for whatever that's worth to you. You know?
That's awesome. I love that. You're gonna have to like do like a throwback Thursday or something and throw it back up there so everybody can see it.
Yeah,
so
well, we'll put it up on the video for this too. But
perfect.
Do you remember who you fought by any chance?
Yeah, actually I do. That was like a really cool concept that day that they had. They had like this battle royal gong thing. So
it was last women. It was like first person, last woman standing type thing or something like that.
It was a very unique concept, and basically all the women were standing up on the stage, and you gonged yourself in whenever you thought it was a good chance to jump into the match, and then whoever the last woman standing, basically like you said, was the winner. And I believe it was cheerleader Melissa, I think, that won that match.
But that was
it's Melanie, wasn't it? I don't remember.
Yeah, Melanie ended up coming in, I think, and winning that one. Yeah.
One of those really tall Amazon beautiful dark hair raven.
That was Melanie Cruz. Yeah. Now, when I had seen you last was it was the 5th show of the company, which was like my 3rd show I ever worked in my life. And that night you were in like a 5-women match, and it was you, Melanie Cruz, Nikki St. John, Serenity, Shelly Martinez, and Matrix Taylor Made. So that was the match.
Quite the crew.
Night. Yeah. So I mean that's a great match. Yeah. So anyway, so that's kind of our background, and and so I know that you've wrestled with so many very big companies. Shimmer and have you wrestled with Shine? Is it?
Yeah, I did Shine. Yeah. It's actually kind of really humbling because last week I went to train at one of the local schools here in Montreal, and the guy that coaches happened to be sick, so he wasn't there. So it was basically all of his students that I was training with. And when I walked in, they're like, "You're a trained wrestler, right?" And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, have I really been out of the game?
I know.
You know, I'm like, okay, whatever. And they're like, oh, you know, where did you work? And I'm like, okay, well, I worked with Shimmer, Shine, WSU, CCW, Ring of Honor, Chikara. And they're like, oh, I would love to work at those places, you know? And I was like, okay, well, those are the places.
That's where I've been. So yes, your credentials are solid.
Yeah, they're just a bit old.
So it's been so it's been 5 years, if
Just
I'm
about,
correct,
yeah.
since you were active. And if I can ask, what made you take these 5 years away from the business?
Well, my husband and I decided we were going to start a family.
Hmm.
So obviously getting pregnant and all of that, I was like, I know I need to step away from the business at least for a little bit. So I
Sure.
had
Yeah.
my first son, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna get back into the ring. And I was legit, it was once I got well, I was on maternity leave for a year. So I took that whole year to take care of my son. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go back in now. And 2 weeks later, COVID hit. So that was the
Ooh.
end of that dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
So during COVID, I had another child, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm done. I didn't really have like a retirement match per se, but circumstances are what they are. But my husband, who was also a pro wrestler, he decided that, hey, I haven't done anything wrestling related in several years. Let's do a couple of shows, WrestleMania weekend before WrestleMania, and then watch the show afterwards. So, like, everybody that pays to watch the show to see the matches get to actually watch WrestleMania with the wrestlers, basically.
Oh, very
Oh,
cool.
that's a
Very
cool
cool.
Yeah.
concept.
So,
Yeah.
and like, it's his way of like just
That's
kind of
awesome.
hanging out with his friends too, you know?
Yeah. No, that's I love it. I love it. That's an awesome idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Sounds like you got a good one there. You got a good
yeah,
one.
he's
Yeah.
fantastic. Absolutely the best.
Good.
But like jokingly, I was like, yeah, I'm like, because he really wanted a women's match, but we weren't sure because a lot of the women here in Montreal, um, there's so many great talents, but a lot of them cost a lot of money. So I was like, you know what? I was like, in order to have a women's match, I would love to come back and I'll do it for free. Obviously, it's my husband.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but I have to work one of two people. I have to wrestle one of two people. I was like, it's either Vanessa Craven or LuFisto. So, because they're like Vanessa, I've wrestled, I don't know, a handful of times, and it's always been fun. It's always like Goliath versus David, and I'm David because I'm so like this much difference between us. She's like 6 foot tall. I'm like barely 5'3".
Right.
So it's a lot of fun. And then with LuFisto, I've had like a few, like maybe 2 or 3 matches over my entire career with her. And like in WSU, we were really starting to build to something several years ago where like I was with DJ Hyde and we threw a chair at her and she busted up bleeding. We
Yeah.
decapitated her doll. I mean, we did some really sick and twisted things to her, and the feud never really
It never
got
got
its
resolved. Yeah.
yeah, it never got resolved. So like I always kind of felt like, man, I wish like
You could
if
put some
anything I
closure
could go
to it.
back and yeah, do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, reach out to them and see. And they reached out to Craven first just to see, get just an idea. And it was like, we're not even going to contact LuFisto because what she offered was just, it was within budget and everything was great. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm wrestling Vanessa.
Yeah. That's great. So, as this is coming up, have you been training and like trying to get the ring rust off?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I said, by the time this airs last week, the week before, I was at one of the local promotions here, IWS, and like I said, I went in and the kids made me completely humbled because they had no idea who I was. Not like
Yeah.
I expect people to know who I am, but like
No,
I
you're
do live and
you're a
wrestle in
name.
Montreal
You're
several years ago.
no, I still consider you a name for sure.
Oh,
So
geez,
Certainly
thank
done
you.
enough.
yeah. I mean,
I'm definitely
it's. I
not.
mean, this is why like we wanted to talk to you because we're like, oh wow, Sassy Steffie's coming out of retirement and doing a match. I mean, like this is,
To us, it was
there's a
news.
yeah to us. I mean, like if you weren't anybody, we'd be like, who cares, But no, like we're interested. We want to know. Like this is great. You're coming back. Let's hear it.
Yeah. And it's crazy because when I announced like, hey, I'm actually coming back, people were like, can we book you? And I was like,
I'm
I didn't
sure. I'm
I didn't
sure.
Yeah.
expect that at all. Like I've been gone for 5 years. Like in April, 5 years ago, it'll be my last match that I had before I decided that we were gonna settle down and have a family. And so it's just crazy that people are like, yeah, we really want to bring you in. But like, to just be honest with like everybody, I'm being very cautious
Selective.
with what I pick.
Yeah.
Like, 'cause it's I'm coming back like as like a favor to my husband. Plus, I kind of want to, just
Get
have
a
some
little
fun.
bit
Right?
into it, yeah.
Yeah, like it's always been in my blood. I love it.
It's tough to let go entirely. It's
It
like you
is.
still
It
like to
really
keep your
is.
you still like to keep your toe in the water. It's like.
Now, have you been in the ring? I know not an actual match, but yeah, your husband's a wrestler. Have you been in the ring like just working out at all in between, like before you make
No,
your announcement?
no, zero. Like I stepped away 100%. Like, I mean, I was still, I had my podcast there for a bit, which I would love still to bring back too. But like having two kids, it's a lot of time that you just don't have to yourself. So like to do a podcast plus edit it plus promote it and stuff, it's not a lot of time. Like I'd like to do like
We
one
know.
show.
We
Yeah,
know.
like maybe like one show a month or something, but even
Right.
that, it's very hard when you're dedicated to other things. And that's why like I'm being very cautious with what I take as far as bookings,
Yeah.
because where I do want to still travel and see the world and have fun and wrestle and do all the things I used to do, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time away from my kids,
Sure.
and that's first and foremost always.
I'm not
So like,
surprised. I'm not surprised you're getting a lot of offerings for booking and stuff, because I actually earlier today I was telling somebody that I was explaining to them that we were having you on the show, and I was explaining the situation and all this, um and they're like, well, if she comes back, do you think she'll get a lot of work? And I said, I think her name is as strong as it ever was, and she'll be getting calls from everybody, and she can pretty much work wherever she wants, So I'm not in the least bit surprised to hear that people are trying to like get you on there. But yeah, the nice thing is that you do have the luxury of being able to be like selective about what you want to do and where you want to spend your time and stuff. And I know it's tough to be away from it, and there's the camaraderie and there's the fun of the performance and everything, but you've got your kids, you've got your family.
Chicago,
So
just come back to Chicago.
I would love to. Chicago is such a great wrestling city. Like, I don't know if like everybody that knows that in the world, like Chicago, like even before I started wrestling, like I was in love with the city of Chicago. Like I just love it. And one of my favorite bands is from the suburbs out there, from Naperville, Downers Grove area. Love them. And so like I was
is it the plain white tees?
no, but I
Oh,
do like the plain white tees.
oh,
I knew about them before Hey There Delilah.
yeah.
It's actually Lucky Boys Confusion.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
they're
Yeah.
local boys for sure.
Yeah,
But like,
Naperville's like 15 minutes from me, so yeah, I
yeah,
know. Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in Chicago, the suburbs. I even went down to like Champaign, Illinois to see them play. I've seen them play in basically anywhere from Maine to Iowa. I drove like hundreds and thousands of miles in years to see them play because I love them so much. And that really helped me with wrestling because like I was up all night
Sure,
driving
you
to
got used to
from places.
the lifestyle. Yeah, driving
Yeah,
around.
before I even got a
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, see,
yeah,
that's not my strong suit. I do not like any of that. So
see,
and if you don't, that's not good. It's not good to be a wrestler.
no, it's very, very hard. I mean, there was times when I lived in Ohio that I would be booked for Shine, but there would be various other people from like the Midwestern area that were booked. So like I worked at UPS as like my normal day-to-day job.
Yeah.
And I worked there from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. And then I jump in my car, I drive to Dayton, Ohio or Cincinnati area, and I pick up Nevaeh. I drive into Kentucky and we'd pick up Heidi Lovelace or what's now
Hmm.
known as Ruby So,
Ruby, so yeah.
Jesse. And then we would drive straight to Florida, which is like if I would have drove straight from Ohio, it would have been like 18-hour drive, but because I was driving to Dayton and in Kentucky and back around, it was like 24-hour drive. So then we would get to Florida early morning, and then we would rest for a little bit, the 4 or 5 of us in the car, and then we would go to Shine, and then we'd rest some more, and then the next day we would do customs, and then we would drive all the way back the 24 hours or
Yeah.
so. And
Wow.
yeah, that was my whole weekend. I'm definitely not doing that
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I don't have that in me at all. I don't know if I ever did. Are you originally from Ohio?
Hmm.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to say this because I was, that's what I thought. But your time in Canada is clearly showing
Oh
because
God.
you're getting the accent.
A little bit.
I am hearing the Canadian accent, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I know she's originally from Ohio. I know she is. But the time in Canada is showing itself on you. I'm telling you right now.
I've heard
You got
that
a little bit of a
time.
Canadian thing going on there in your voice now. So
It worked for you though.
Oh, well, thank you. It was funny because my last like official match that I had, but like the one like right after that, which I guess would technically be my last match, was at WWE. It was a tryout match right before
Mhm.
I went into my little, I guess, like kind of retirement. And Dolph Ziggler is another person from Ohio, and so I happened to know him from the wrestling scene there.
Yeah.
And he was talking to me, and I had moved to Canada maybe 3 years prior to that. And he's like, "Where do you live now?" And I was like, "Oh, I moved to Montreal." And he's like, "Yeah, I can definitely hear the
Yeah.
Canadian."
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm like, I've been listening, and I'm like, yeah, I think she's been there for a while now. Yeah.
Hey, bud. Hey, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so
Well,
funny
hey,
because
it's
my husband he was born, raised, everything here in Montreal.
yeah.
And I remember one time when he came down to visit me in Ohio before we got married, we were still dating and everything. And he's like, "I don't say A, that's like a terrible stereotype the Canadians have." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then like he said something and it was like A. And I was like, "Oh my God,
You did it. You did it. Yes.
And he's still in denial about it, but he doesn't say it often, but it is kind of a Canadian, well, at least in Montreal. It's kind of a
Hey,
Canadian stereotype.
there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, what do you think?
People say we talk Chicago, so
Yeah, I mean, people tell me like I've got relatives on the East Coast out in Massachusetts, and so they've got the very strong Boston accents.
Oh yes.
Harvard Park, and all that sort
Wear
of,
my
yeah,
khakis.
yeah.
yeah.
But then, like, if I go out and visit, they're like, "Oh, he's got that whiny Midwest accent." It's like, oh, it's just they think I sound very whiny. It's
Okay,
like,
so just tell them that they have the Mark Wahlberg accent. I'm sure
right.
that they'll be,
But it's fine. It's like everything's regional. It's whatever. So.
exactly.
So, okay, so I'm just curious on a side note, having lived in
Mhm.
both the US and Canada, how do you like both? Where do if you had I mean, I don't want to like put you completely on the spot here, but I mean, like, is it nice up there? You like being up there in Canada?
Oh, it's wonderful up here. I live in Montreal, so it's the only thing that's really difficult for me is the French language because it is the first language here.
Oh,
So my
really? Okay.
French, even though I've been here 9 years, is really piss poor. I try, I do Duolingo every day. But it's a very hard language to learn, even
Does
with,
your husband speak it?
oh yes,
Yeah.
fluently.
Okay.
My husband actually speaks French, English, and Greek fluently.
Oh,
Because
wow.
he's Greek. His parents are both from Greece. His
Yeah.
grandparents are well, obviously his grandparents are from Greece as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like my sons both go to a Greek daycare, so they're learning Greek, French, and English all together too.
Wow,
So
that's cool.
they're all going to be able to talk crap about me behind my back. And yeah, but it's
Yeah,
okay.
that would be
come to
my
terms with
concern
that.
as well. Yes.
Well,
But I mean, that is like the only, like, I would say negative thing for me. Not that it's negative, because I think the French language is beautiful and it's
It's
great.
great if you know how to say it. Yeah, if you know how to speak it.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. It's very hard
that's
for
the
me. But
trick.
otherwise it's great. But besides that, I mean, the major difference I think is the healthcare. Like, I can't imagine being in the States anymore because of the healthcare. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's socialist or whatever." I don't care about politics. All I know is I can go to the hospital if I have a broken arm and I don't have to worry about being in debt tomorrow. You know
I'll
what
tell
I
you
mean?
I'll tell
I'll
you
take
something.
it.
If there is one thing that's the top of the list, absolute top of the list reasons for me to ever want to move to Canada, that's it. That is
It's
absolutely
amazing.
it. It's
And you know
night.
what? The
That's
tax.
just it's absurd. It's absurd. I feel like, and I'm not into politics at all either, and I don't like talking about it or anything like
Yeah,
that. I don't understand most of it anyway. I
same.
just know that like what they're doing up in Canada makes a lot more sense to me than what we're doing down here.
And it's
So,
working.
and it seems like it's working
Exactly.
just fine for everyone,
But see, like, a lot of people are like, "Aren't your taxes high?" I'm like, "Okay, so they're a little bit higher than what I would pay if I were in the US, but not by like much, like not much at all." And if that means
And
I
you
pay
don't
an
have to
extra.
qualify for certain things because
Exactly.
it's just you pay that tax and you're in regardless.
Yeah,
So
and if I pay, I don't know, let's say, just to give a round number, like 20 extra dollars a month or something to have my
it's
health care, but that
absolutely
also
worth it. Yeah,
but it also
absolutely.
means, like, it also means that like a kid in Toronto can have heart surgery
Yeah.
because
Right.
I'm paying this 20 extra dollars. Like,
Mhm.
let's do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know. To me, it seems like it would be common human decency, but in the US, like, but I never thought of
I
it when I was in
agree.
the US because I wasn't in Canada. I don't pay attention to the politics and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I love that if, oh my goodness, my kid has a cold, let me take him to the doctor. Like, when I first moved here, I don't know, I had some kind of illness, a flu or who knows, whatever. And my husband's like, "Why don't you call the doctor?" I was like, what do you mean call the doctor? Like, I can't do
Yeah.
that. That costs too much money.
Right.
And he's like, "It's free." And I was like, "Oh." Like, it took a long time for me to get
Adjust to the knowing
comfortable.
that you've got that. No, and what a comfort
Yeah.
though. What a just a mental comfort to know that you've got that and that you don't have to worry that if something happens that you
You
can't
go
do anything
bankrupt.
about it. Yeah, I mean,
100%. And
yeah.
like I said, to me now, it just seems like common human decency. Like, it doesn't seem
I
like it's
agree.
something out of
It
the.
seems like a no-brainer. It's like why aren't we all
Exactly.
just doing this? I
Yeah.
mean,
Because
so
it obviously works. That's the thing. It's like
I
if
don't know.
Canada, if there was big major problems with it, it wasn't working, I could see that, but it works up there. And Canada's
Yeah.
a big country.
I mean, the US obviously has a lot more people than what Canada does. So it might need some tweaking for the amount of people.
Sure,
But like
sure.
I said,
But the theory,
have
if you could at
that many
least
if you have that many people in the US paying, like I said, let's just do $20, for example,
right,
and it's gonna pay for all these people to go to the hospital and have surgeries that they need that they can't afford, or have chemotherapy because they need it for cancer or whatever. All that money from all that little bit extra a month that you're not even really gonna see because it's your taxes anyway.
right.
It to me, it's brilliant, but I mean, I don't
When
know.
and
I
most of
like
us are
I said,
paying,
politics isn't my thing.
well, most of us are paying much more than that in insurance, to pay for our insurance. Like I'm in an
Yeah, your
independent contractor,
premium.
I got to pay my own, and it's ridiculously high.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a huge thing out here. Well,
Yeah.
aside from insurance, let's um so coming back, so you're gonna do this, you're gonna do these shows.
Mhm.
And I know you're looking at limited bookings, just kind of being selective. But are there anybody out there that you would like to lock up with that you either haven't or would like to again? I mean, are there any dream matches for you out there? I mean,
There's a lot, like a
yeah.
lot, a lot.
Because if you
Um,
got the opportunity, like who are there any names you can give that you would be interested in?
well, there's quite a few people that I was like, oh man, I got out of the business at the wrong time because now they're signed with WWE, but like right before I saw it, they weren't. Like
Right.
Johngy or Roxanne Perez. Like I had her on my podcast before she was in NXT and now NXT Women's Champion, and I'm like, good God, like
Right.
I told her on the podcast, like, I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like,
Yeah. You
you're
got
going
it.
to be someone
Right.
because she has that elusive it quality that everybody's looking for, you know? Like, you can't really explain it to anybody, but when somebody has it, they have it, and she's one of those people. So, like, I would have loved to have worked her. I actually, a couple weeks ago, Katie Arquette actually posted a picture where she was yelling at somebody in the crowd, and I was like, oh my God, me and you would have been like the perfect tag team. And I posted like a picture of me yelling at the crowd, like almost identical to what she had done. I was like, we would have been a great tag team. I would love to work with her. There's Ashley Dimbois. I mean, I would love, because I get this all the time too, and I'm sure some people here are gonna message me about it just because I said it. I would love to do a Midwest Militia reunion, although it'd probably be impossible because both Allison Kay and Jessica Havoc are incredibly busy. But I would love to meet back up with them again. That was some of the best stuff that I ever did.
Yeah, the three of you were great. Yeah, I know she's pretty tied up in NWA right now, and
and she was doing Impact well with actually Jessica.
Yeah.
They're so, like, when I quit, like, I thought women's wrestling was fantastic. Like, from where I came in 2007 when I started to when I stopped in 2018, I was like, the women's business had come so far in those 11 years. Like, it was crazy.
It was
like,
a big jump in that
it
time.
was, because I mean, you really had WWE really switched their perspective on women's wrestling. It wasn't about just being good looking and stuff like that. They really wanted women to have
about ability and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that switch started happening while I was still wrestling. So people that I wrestled, probably, I doubt I've had a million matches, but at least a dozen.
Feels like a million matches.
Yeah. Like people like Bailey, you know, she's just turned the whole women's wrestling world around, and I wrestled her a bunch of times, you know?
Right.
So like there's a lot of women that are coming up. Danny Moe also, like, she's in the Pittsburgh area. I remember when I was wrestling at Remix Pro in Athens, Ohio. Not Athens, I'm sorry, Marietta, Ohio. She was just starting to manage her boyfriend Facade. And I was like, oh, this girl, she's, you know, she's got something. She's cute and she can do like moves, but she was just a manager.
Yeah.
And now, you know, she's the Remix Women's Champion. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have gotten the opportunity to really get to work with her before I left the area and then, you know, wrestling. So, I mean, there's still like a lot of people I would really, really like to work. Like, I mean, this is just who I'm thinking off the top of my head. And this is just because I interviewed them on my podcast. So they're like in the front of my mind. But I mean, there's so many great women that are out here doing amazing things, changing the wrestling business and just making it a brand new thing. Because like when I started, like I said, in 2007, 90% of my matches was with Madison Rain, Jessica Havoc, Nevaeh, and Zoe Sky. The five of us in Ohio, and we just kind of all did the territories together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And with Shimmer and stuff like that, I really started to really hone in my craft a little bit more because I was working or wrestling other girls outside of those four. And then WSU came along, and Femme Fatale and Shine and all these other women's promotions where I really got to work with other women outside of my comfort zone. So, but now I find like you look at a show and you have the women's champion, usually that is your core person, but then you have different women rotating every month or 2 months or whatever the case. So there's so many women wrestling now. It's just such a blessing. So like the selective bookings I am going to take, they are going to be people that I want to work with.
You want to make them count.
Dream matches. Yeah.
Yeah. Make them count for sure. For sure.
You'd be a great fit at Women's Wrestling Army, which wrestles mostly out of Chicago, run by Maria Canales.
I would love to. I love Maria. I had her on my podcast too. She was amazing, and it was right around the time Ring of Honor did the women's tournament for the championship, and that's part of the reason why I had Roxanne on at the time too. And I was like, Maria, are you gonna come back? And she's like, oh no, 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 I'm not. But I was trying to get her to come back a little bit, even though I knew I had absolutely no say on that whatsoever.
Good
Yeah.
try.
But yeah, Maria is amazing. I would love to come back to Women's Wrestling Army. I mean, that's up to her. If we get in contact, which I definitely would love to, I would definitely hit up that one for sure.
Let me ask you, like, how are you feeling physically? Like, I mean, how's your back? How's your neck? I mean, like you did put in, quite a few years of actual wrestling on a, full-time basis. You've also had 2 kids. I mean, like, how do you feel physically right now being in the ring?
I feel great. I have to tell you though, the first time last week that I took my first bump, I was so in my head. Like the rolling stuff, like no big deal, whatever. But like the straight like clothesline bump, I was like, I was in my head because I was like, I haven't taken one of those in so long, and I remember
Were you
how,
overthinking it?
yeah, I was really in my head.
Yeah.
Um, but I did the first one. I was fine. I was a little sore the next day, which is to be expected
Sure.
because I'm throwing myself on the ground for fun.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
It was like I hadn't missed a beat as far as I was concerned. It felt
Well,
good.
that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
So my body's still a little calloused a little bit and expects that kind of thing from me. So my
Well,
body
you did
feels
it for a long time,
yeah.
and you did it, longer than you had time off too. So,
Mhm.
and you weren't out because of injury or anything like that either. So it's not like you were rehabbing something, so
Yeah.
you were merely giving birth. That's all.
Just
No,
that's it.
no big
Yeah.
deal,
Nothing. It
Well,
was a piece of cake.
Yeah.
So, John, I know you wanted to talk a little
I
Cleveland
have to ask you, how are the Cleveland Browns looking?
Yeah.
You don't know. I mean, okay. So obviously I live in Montreal, and football here it's a big thing, like, but it's not like it is in the States. There's Super Bowl parties and stuff like that, and people pay attention to the NFL, but not like they do in the US. I mean, there are some people that are like super overzealous about it, but not like crazy. So like I'll wear like my Browns gear, and I'm talking like my little beanie with my Browns logo, or I have a Browns jacket that I wear in the fall, or like I have Browns t-shirts. I actually have Brown socks. I have pretty much every clothing of
Yeah,
Browns possible.
you've got all the merch. Yeah.
You're legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and but it's like it's impossible to find here. But anyway, and it's incredibly expensive to ship here too. But anyway, I digress. But so like every time I wear something, they'll be like, "Oh, Browns. Browns. I don't see that very often here." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm originally from the Cleveland area." And they're like, "Oh, okay, we get it." But I was so excited because on Halloween, my husband took my boys out, and I was passing out candy, and there was a guy that passed by in like a really heavy Cleveland Browns leather jacket, and I was like, "Oh my, are you a fan?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "There's another one here?"
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was so excited. And obviously he lives somewhere around here in my neighborhood, but I
Yeah.
was like through the roof excited that I found another one.
Well,
But
we
still, this past season was really hard for me
yeah.
because I am all about women being themselves, and if there's an issue discussing it and stuff like that. And the stuff with Deshaun Watson was really disheartening.
Right.
Um, and obviously he was suspended most of the season. And it but what really kind of bothered me is that some of the women went to his first game, and like I can't understand that as a female. Like if I felt like I was under some kind of sexual misconduct from a person, I would never want to see that person again, let alone see them play their first game. So it's really hard for me with Watson as our quarterback, um, just because I don't know what is honest and what isn't.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's hard for me as a woman to be a fan. of the Browns, but I'm diehard since I was born. There's no way I can deny it. And but hopefully he stays out of trouble, and he is worth the crazy amount of money that he is getting, and the Browns do super well this year. I really hope that they can turn around and really, I thought Brissett, who was our quarterback for the beginning part of the season, was fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is a backup quarterback, but I thought he did well. There was a lot of games where we lost by, 3 points or whatever, or we just made silly mistakes, and that's the reason why we lost. So I think if Watson is still up to par with how he was several years ago and lives up to the hype, then maybe we have a good season coming up. But as a Browns fan, there's always next year. So even though the season hasn't even started yet,
Well, let me tell you, as a Cubs fan,
As a
you
Bears
understand.
fan.
all you can ever say is there's always next year. So,
But I had seen you.
a few episodes back, we had another Ohio football person who's a female wrestler. I'm
Holly
sure
Dead.
Hardcore Heather Owens.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Holly Dead is also a Browns fan.
Oh, is she? Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know her. Yeah, she. I worked with her before, so yeah.
yeah,
But
she's awesome.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
she's
sure.
what, Cincinnati Bengals? Am I right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Heather is Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Heather's
Yeah,
the
for sure.
Bengals, but yeah, no, she was on a few weeks ago, and
I love
so
But
yeah.
it.
you've also I've seen you with the Montreal Canadiens sweater.
Oh yeah. I'm
Oh yeah,
hardcore at the hockey
yeah.
now.
I can hear it in your voice. You
Yeah.
really.
It's the vowels, like it's the vowels.
That's
But
funny.
my kid, he's gonna be 4,
Mhm.
and we put him in hockey this year, and that's all he talks about now. 24/7 is hockey, 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 hockey. Of course, I live in Montreal, so obviously Montreal
Sure.
Canadiens.
Yeah.
And a couple hours away we have Toronto, and they have the Hockey Hall of Fame. So hockey is kind of what the NFL is to the US, what
Sure.
Sure.
to
Yeah,
Canada.
that's the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's the big sport here, and he loves it. I love it. When I first came to Montreal, I don't know how much you guys know about hockey, but PK Subban was on our team, and I don't know what it was about him, but like his charisma and all that, I was like, oh, I like this guy. And he was really cool. So he was on the Montreal Canadiens, and that's kind of how it started for me. And now, like, my kids totally, like, even my youngest just started walking, but he started walking with a hockey stick. So
Yeah.
how Canadian is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's but yeah.
The jokes just write themselves at that point.
Well, that's awesome. Well, real quick before we go, I
Mhm.
was going to show you one of the last times I actually saw you in person, you were talking about coming up with different names for your fans.
Oh God, yes. I remember.
And yes, and one of the options on the table was Sasshole. And so I have a autographed Resistance. This is a rare one with the Resistance shirt.
Yeah.
To Tommy, my number one Sasshole.
I love it.
Sassy Stephie. So
I'm
there.
pretty sure you're the only person that ever got that personalized greeting. Most of the time it's like kiss my sass. So
That's what I
well,
got.
Kiss My Sass was, I think, the other one, but I was the one who was like, I like the Sasshole one. So I just wanted, I still have it. This
up
is
with a
like
name.
12 years old now, but I still have it. It's here in the collection. So
That's amazing. I love it.
well, John, you have anything else for the
I am
lovely?
good. It's been a blast talking to you, and
Yeah,
looking forward
it's
to seeing
you're
you.
yeah, you're someone who we would always have liked to have on the shows, and we finally saw a little opportunity there where we're like, you know what, she's making a return. Let's talk to her. Let's get her on and talk to her. So we're very excited for you and your event coming up here.
Tell everybody where they can find
Yeah,
it.
give us the info. Where can people find you? Where can they watch this?
Well, for the show, it is obviously the first and second. It's going to start at 6 p.m. for the matches. Obviously, 7 o'clock is the pre-show for WrestleMania.
What's the name of the town? I don't want to mispronounce it.
It's Laval, Quebec.
Laval. Okay.
It's just right outside of Montreal. So if you're in Montreal, for sure you know where Laval is, because it's like the third biggest city in all of Quebec. So Montreal's 1, Quebec City's 2, and I think it's Laval. But anyway, I digress. It's at a big hall. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't remember how much tickets are. I think they're $30, but you get 2 days of events, plus you get to watch WrestleMania with the wrestlers.
Oh, well, that's a steal. That's a steal. Yeah.
And for those who aren't in the Montreal area, the Green Phantom is going to be there. He is a Montreal legend. If you guys don't know who he is, look him up. He has some amazing hardcore matches and regular matches too. But I mean, he's really, really known for some great hardcore matches. Zach Patterson, which I guarantee if you guys are paying attention to him in a few years, I think he's going to be somewhere on TV eventually. He's amazing. JT Producer is there as well, which he was just featured on Raw in a match. And
nice.
He invented Raven, and there's so many more people that I can't even think of right now. But it's going to be a great show. It's in Laval, Quebec. So come out, have a great time. It's going to be amazing. You can catch me, Sassy Stephie, Instagram and Twitter. And I don't really I use my Facebook page, but not really. But you can go check it out if you want. And I'm really excited. I also, along with the show, I'm going to be having a new Sassy Stephie t-shirt design coming out on Pro Wrestling Tee soon. I have the design. I just have to kind of put it up there.
Yeah.
But I have a busy weekend coming up because it's my birthday weekend. So
happy birthday.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Once I get through my birthday weekend, I'm going to be posting up the new design as well. So there's a lot of things going on in the Sassy Stephie sphere of things.
Well, we're very excited about it, and that's why we wanted to talk to you, because you've always been someone who anytime John and I kind of look back on some of those days and stuff, you're a name that always comes up with a lot of superlatives around you. And it was,
when I interviewed you a year ago, Tommy, a week later, texts me and goes,
"Oh, I was pissed.
How could you do that without me?"
I said, "What the hell?" I'm like, "You get Sassy Stephie on your show, and you don't get me in touch with me." I'm like, "What the hell?" Yeah,
I don't sharing. Okay.
Yeah, I was upset about that. I forgot about that, but you're right. Yeah, I was.
Well, all you had to do was ask.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we're very happy for you. We're excited for you. We'll be looking very closely at where things go for you, and I hope you have a lot of fun with it, because that's what's the most important part of it, as you know. So
yeah, and that's basically why I'm doing it now. It's just for fun. It's not like I'm trying to make a living out of this anymore.
Right. Just go and just have fun and
exactly
live in the moment. And it's like you're in a position now where you can stop in the moment and soak it up and enjoy it. It's like when you're first getting out there, there's so much pressure, and there's all these things that you're trying to do and stuff, and it's like you're in a position where when you find that opportunity, definitely stop and just soak it in, because
definitely.
people love you. You've earned it, absolutely. And just go out and have some fun. All right.
Yeah, and it's great to bring back the Sassy character, because I'm I would say Stephanie as the person is super fun and light and not too mean, I would say. I mean,
I've never found you to be mean in the slightest. No.
Well, okay. At least you guys feel that way. Not everybody feels that way. But Sassy character, I get to it's so easy as a character in wrestling to come out and be hated, but it's a lot harder to come out and be loved instantly. And so I get to kind of bring back that sassy, bitchy, don't care, tell everybody to shut up character, and I can't wait.
It's gonna be a little. It's probably gonna be a little tough in the beginning, because people are gonna be really happy to see you, but you give it a little time, and then you can start digging into them, and you'll get them.
Yeah,
but I think initially you're gonna get some warm receptions, whether you like it or not. So, but
I still appreciate those, but it's crazy because my kids have not really seen me wrestle, obviously, right?
Sure.
You know, like I've mentioned it, like mommy and baba used to wrestle, you know, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But now my oldest is starting to get into it. We took him to SmackDown a couple weeks ago, and so he's like really starting to understand it. So he's gonna be there to see me wrestle. And
That's awesome.
Oh,
husband's
that's
like,
cool.
I don't know if he's gonna like it, like you
It
getting
might
beat.
be tough, yeah,
Yeah,
to see mommy like get like, knocked down on the ground and stuff like
by a
that. Yeah, I
giant.
mean, yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, who knows? I don't know. That's a very interesting position to be in. So,
Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna tell him beforehand, like, look, mommy's just playing. Hopefully, he understands.
yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting because I know my kids aren't gonna boo me, and I don't know unless I ground them beforehand.
No ice cream tonight.
I know.
Boo!
Yeah.
Pin
So we'll
her.
see.
Make her tap.
So
All
we'll
right,
see how that.
Steffi, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We
that
really appreciate all your time. We've taken too much of it already, but you've been
oh, anytime,
you've been an
guys.
absolute delight. It's so good to catch up with you, and we really do wish you the best. So
And happy birthday.
happy birthday. Go out there, have some fun, kick some ass, and we'll be watching you. All right.
All right, thanks, guys, so much, and everybody else can kiss my sass.
All right.
We love you.
Peace out. Sassy Stephie, everybody. It was man, what a delight. I mean, I worked 5 shows with her in the very beginning of my run with the Resistance Pro, and I probably only really got to talk to her in the last 2 before she left. Um, but I was always a fan of her in the ring, and then when I did get to talk to her, she was always just super nice. One thing I wanted to tell her that I just remembered now that I didn't, but in the Instagram picture, that if you go on
Well, we're gonna
Tommy,
post it.
yeah, we'll post it, but Tommy_else on Instagram.
Save your plug for later. Move on.
On the gram. I just remember she was saying like, "Oh my god, I look terrible. This is like, like, oh, this is like the worst time to take a picture. Oh, I look so bad and everything." I looked at it the other day and I was like, "She's crazy. She looks great."
Well, yeah, yeah,
like, get out of here.
No, she was cool. I mean, back then, she was one of my first interviews at Resistance, probably on the second or third show. Yeah, and she was always really, really gracious about doing interviews. I think I probably did 2 or 3 with them, and then I did the infamous one, longer form, about a year ago without you, and then this one.
Yeah, that was.
But we didn't have a podcast back then. You can't yell at me.
We did have a podcast a year ago.
No, when I did that one, we did not have a podcast going.
Man,
I would have asked you.
I still should have been included regardless.
All right. Yeah, and I should include everybody, anybody that's got any connection to anybody, I'll include. I'm a professional,
No. Only me. That's
Oh,
it.
oh.
I'm making your job real easy here,
Well,
buddy.
maybe if you treated me better, I would.
You don't have to think about like who applies to this scenario.
All right, move
All you
on.
have to do is just put me in it, and that's it. So
anyway, we loved having Stephie on.
Absolutely.
Both of us are huge Stephie fans, sassholes, if you will.
Well,
you're more of a sasshole than I am, but I love Stephie.
Well, it's like like we were telling her. I mean, like you and I have, reminisced over Resistance Pro past and just, past wrestling experiences in general and stuff. But we've often brought her up in conversation, and anytime we ever have, it's like I said, it's all superlatives. I mean, it's all just,
Well, and plus she was there like at
love.
the beginning when it was all coming together and like, we saw something really cool building, and she was a big part of the beginning.
She was, and I was, at the first show, I was just a fan out in the crowd, so I remember watching her there, and then the second show, I was still a fan, and then the third one I actually got in, and that was my first show. But I had seen her perform beforehand and everything, and then like by the fourth, fifth show, got to actually, because now I'm in the locker room and stuff, got to actually talk to her and everything, and had been following her and everything. I was just like, yeah, I was very impressed. I was still being introduced to a lot of these talents at the time that I wasn't familiar with beforehand, and she was somebody who caught my eye. I mean, like, just
Same.
she had the personality, she had the look, she had the ability. She worked really well in the ring. She's a solid worker in the ring. So
We were up in the third level for the Excalibur show,
right,
and she,
which is
I think,
basically like looking down into a pit, because
yeah,
it's
I
that
think I have some
it's that
pictures somewhere
narrow. It's like a
of that.
panopticon.
But she, and I think they had to take an elevator up to the third floor because the dressing room was on the third floor. So
Right.
she came off the elevator and walked by us, and she was still selling the injuries from the ring. I thought that was really cool.
You take it all the way to the dressing room, my friend. Yeah,
And
and
she
she
did. She
she
did.
did.
She was
Yeah,
very upset about the loss. I think she high-fived me though. But
she was
because I
probably
was
trying to.
excited,
She was
I thought,
probably It was probably a missed slap towards your face. That I
yeah.
mean,
And you want to know why I didn't invite you on my interview? Expect some more non-invites, jerk.
She was probably going for the face and missed and hit your hand. But whatever. Anyway, so but
Stephanie, if you want to come back and take this guy down in Chicago, a
hey,
little extra cash from Johngy.
let me tell you, Sassy Steph, if you want to take on a certain female competitor by the name of Erica St. Vaughn, she is more than willing to meet you in any ring, in any promotion, at any time. So, as her manager, just take
I'm
that
her
into
manager.
consideration. I'm her manager.
How are you her? Oh, you're Erica's manager.
I'm Erica St. Vaughn's manager. No,
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
Sassy Stephie's manager. No.
Yeah. Okay. I got lost from.
I'm Erica St. Vaughn's manager. I manage Erica St. Vaughn, and I manage Eric St. Vaughn.
You might have some issues going on, but we'll save that for later. That'll be for the next
Tommy
episode.
Tommy Ellis is the manager to the personal trainers to the stars, both female and male. So anyway, again,
Yeah,
a big
for the
thanks to
listening
you.
audience, you couldn't see my eyes roll to the back of my skull on that one.
First of all, I can't see your eyes at all, and this is an issue. This is an issue.
Move along. We're not changing.
No. This is an issue because I don't trust somebody who I can't look in the eye. And
You see you've looked me in the eye. It's pure evil.
I like 3 years ago, I looked you in the eye. You've been wearing your sunglasses ever since then. So
They're
I
polarized lenses because
buddy, I don't have an issue with why you wear them. I understand there's a
yeah.
legitimate reason for it. All I'm saying is that I can't see your eyes, and if I can't see your eyes, I can't trust you.
Nobody cares. I never asked you to trust me.
All right, I'm just throwing it out there.
I don't care.
It's all right. You don't have to care.
We care about Sassy Stephie.
We do. All right.
See, it all comes back to Sassy Stephie. Although I will say, the Blackhawks should beat the Canadians and the Bears should beat the Browns. But I still love you, Stephie.
Okay. Well, I'll leave that between you two. I don't have enough. I don't have a dog in the fight in either of those. So, all right, John. Well, if people want to be able to not look into your eyes and go online and find you in the realm of social media, where can they find John Robleski?
Well, they could find me on the gram at, oh, wait, that's your line. You can find me anywhere at Johngy's Beat. Just look up Johngy's Beat. You'll find me on my website, on the websites, other websites where I write. And you'll find me, more importantly, on the John G.R.L.'s podcast, available on most podcast platforms, as well as YouTube, our John G.R.L.'s podcast YouTube channel. But Tommy, go through it, man. Gram, pod, linked, book, twit. Lay it on us. Where can they find you? Oh, jeez.
They can find me on the gram at Tommy_else. They can find me on the Twit at Tommy_else. They can find me on Spotify at the John G. Orles Podcast. They can find the John G. Orles Podcast on Facebook. They can find us on the T at ProWrestlingTees.com in the
And
John
look for the new
G.
Sassy Stefie shirt.
There will be a new Sassy Stephie shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees. So yes, look for that as well. Yes, absolutely.
It's better than
Check that out. Also visit the Johngy's Beat store on Pro Wrestling Tees and scroll down to the bottom past all the Johngy's Beat shirts so that you can find the John G. Orles podcast t-shirts or hoodies available there. Also, it's worth noting that while you can watch these episodes on our YouTube channel, the John G. Orles Podcast, you can now also watch these with video on Spotify. So wherever you got to get it, go
Just
get you
keep
some.
getting it.
Yum, yum, come get you some. So it's a JBL line. Yes. Yes. All right, sir. Well, with all of that, thanks again to Sassy Stephie. It's been a fun episode. It's good to have someone fun on there and get to, mix it up with. So,
And always stay sassy.
stay sassy. There you go. All right. For the John G. Orles Podcast, I, of course, have been who else but Tommy Elson. With me, as always, is the man on the beat from JohnGBeat.com, Mr. John Robleski. Nobody can see your nod.
You can see it on YouTube. You clod.
Okay, here we go. Intro. All right. God, it's 8:30. Fuck. All right.
Bedtime, you little baby.
I gotta be in Elgin at 7 in the morning.
I'm going to be at the warehouse at 4 in the morning. Ooh.
Well, you're insane.
Sorry, I like to eat. I like eating. I like paying my bills. Yeah.
Yeah, well,